Hey friend, a quick update for you. My website is officially live. I'm so excited. You can check it out at reneemat.com. And my name is spelled a little bit different, so people get hung up on it sometimes, but it's Renae. And I'll make sure the link is in the show notes in case you need to just click that and get to the website. But this website is where you're going to find all the things that I talk about here on the podcast. Plus, I've officially opened the wait list for my upcoming course. So, if you've been wanting some extra support to finally get those 5 foundational routines working for real life, you'll definitely want to get on that list so that you are the first to know when doors open. The new website is going to be your go to spot to learn more about me, check out those resources I mentioned on the podcast, and get that support if you're ready to create routines and systems that actually work for real life. So when you're done listening, head to reneemat.com, take a look around, pop your name on that wait list. I cannot wait for you to see it. We are heading full swing into summer. It's here. At least here in Minnesota, summer is definitely here. And summer is a season that is wonderful because we are trying to soak up those sunny days, going to the beach, doing fun things, going on hikes, focusing on social gatherings and barbecues, and living as happy and as carefree as we can. However, it is also a season that can throw a lot of our routines that we've been building out of whack. This is causing us to feel somewhat overwhelmed and maybe even a little frazzled or chaotic. I want all of us to be able to have a fabulous summer. So let's talk about 4 steps to refresh your morning routine for the summer season so that you can still feel prepared while also having the flexibility that we want during the summertime. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renee Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast. As you know, I am a big fan of routines over here, but we do have to be really careful about how we're building routines and how we stick to routines. I know a lot of people that say that they are not routine based because they're too strict and they just like to be more free flowing, which is kind of the idea that we want in the summertime. We want to be feeling like we have a lot of freedom to enjoy that warm season and just go have fun and kind of act like a kid again with bare feet and watermelon. Like that is so fun. I never used to like summer as much as I have grown to enjoy it now. Like I loved it as a kid, and then I kind of went through a period where I just didn't like being warm or hot because I get sweaty really easily, which is really gross, but I'll tell you that. But I as I get older, I'm actually cold more often, so I've learned to enjoy summer again. So it's a good thing, but we do want that flexibility with our schedules and our routines while still having the structure to keep us organized so that we feel prepared. And when we're trying to live a more flexible life throughout the summer, that we don't feel like we're losing control of everything. So we have to find that balance. And one thing that I will always recommend you go back to is your morning routine. Your morning routine can be a total game changer in how you show up through the rest of the day. And I actually have been feeling this myself, and this is what kind of spurred me to talk about this on this episode is that we have had a lot of stuff going on in our lives. And looking ahead at our summer schedule, like almost every single weekend from now through the fall is booked. It's a lot of fun stuff, but we're looking at that and it almost feels overwhelming. So you kind of feel like there's just too much going on and it can feel like a lot of pressure and like, oh no, we're not going to actually be able to enjoy our summer. But you kind of just have to take a deep breath and reset and focus on the good things. Like we have a lot of stuff that we can do and we are prepared for everything that's coming up and as much as we can be anyway. And we are actually in a very good position. And that's kind of what I had to do with my morning routine too, because I'm trying to get all these things done. I've got a lot going on with work and with our weekends that are always busy. So I'm trying to cram everything into the work week. I'm trying to do my podcast and we're preparing for vacations. We actually just got back from a vacation. So it's a lot going on. And what I started to do was try and pile a lot of that stuff in the morning because then I was trying to get a lot of it done before I'd start work. Well, it kind of pushed into my morning routine. And eventually, I was getting so overwhelmed and I was feeling that pressure where almost you just kind of want to break down and start crying at some point. And I'm not even a crier, but I was feeling that pressure. And I'm like, I just kept telling my husband, I'm like, I just feel so overwhelmed and I can't get out of it. Like, I don't know how to snap out of this. And I sat down to think about it. And I'm like, I have not been doing my morning routine the way that I built it. Things have been shifting and I've been condensing it. So I'm still doing a Bible study and I'm doing my prayers in the morning and everything, but I'm combining it at the same time that I'm trying to do my makeup. And I'm trying to get that stuff done so then I can do a workout instead of doing my journaling. And then I'm trying to go for a walk and do all these things. So I end up doing all these things. I'm unloading the dishwasher instead of, sitting down to work on my journal or anything that is more me focused. I'm trying to get a lot of things done as soon as I get up. And I'm starting to go back into that old habit that I had before I put my routines in place of getting up and launching directly into my day. And that feeling is coming back of being very overwhelmed and starting to feel like I can't keep up with everything. And when I realized how I have been shifting my morning routine, it made me think I need to reset and refresh how I want to spend my mornings. And so this is why I'm actually bringing this today because I want you to look at this if you are feeling the same way I am or when that feeling comes up maybe it's not now, maybe it'll come later in the summer and all of a sudden you're going to feel like everything is just so much and you're just trying to keep your head above water because everything is spiraling out of control, it feels like. This is a good time to go through these steps, and there's just 4 super simple steps to go through and look at if you need to refresh your own morning routine because it can make such a big difference. So, do it together. Do it with me if you're feeling that way, or if you just want to get ahead of the game and not get into feeling that way, and you just want to focus on feeling prepared, then this is a great time to do that. So, we're going to go through 4 steps to refresh your morning routine so that you do feel prepared going into the summer to have a structured routine while also creating the flexibility in your schedule the rest of your week. So, number 1, review your current morning routine. This is where I was looking at what I was doing that had kind of shifted away from what I was purposely trying to do. I had been intentional about building a morning routine, and slowly over time, I started to shift away from that. And now it's time to get back to what I originally wanted and also review if I need to make some changes. So I need to look at what I'm currently doing now before I can make those changes. So, what am I doing? And also, when I'm looking at what I'm doing, I'm also looking at what I am liking about my morning routine. What am I doing in the mornings right now that I really want to keep? And what am I doing that feels like I could do it a different time of day? So, when you're looking at this, like I really enjoy having the dishwasher unloaded right away in the morning. But it doesn't necessarily have to be part of my morning routine. It could be right after my morning routine. So I can focus my personal morning routine on what I need to show up as my best self that day. And then before I go into the other tasks, unloading the dishwasher can just be the first thing that I do. Something like that, that would be an example of how you can kind of start to look at all the little pieces of how your morning is beginning and what you're doing and what you're actually wanting to keep if you're going to start cutting things out. So you really want it to look at prioritizing what you want. The second step is to focus on simplifying. We really want to make sure that we are building a morning routine that does not feel overwhelming in itself. So, we want to make sure that we are taking only the most important things and focusing on that and keeping it short, keeping it small so that it doesn't feel like we have to skip our morning routine when a busy day is ahead because we want to make sure that our morning routine is actually going to give us the energy and the motivation to get through our day, and that is going to be a big component of how we build our morning routine. We need to keep it simple so that we can actually stick to it and build the consistency of being able to maintain our morning routine over time. If we make it too big and too many things that we're trying to do and to try and cram in so much stuff that we're trying to do in the morning and we're spending 3 hours by getting up at 4 a.m. and you're used to getting up at 7 a.m., this is not going to be sustainable. We need to keep it simple. So, even if you are having these big dreams of creating this big long morning routine, that's totally fine, but build up to it. So keep it simple to start. Get up just a little bit earlier than you are currently getting up, and then focus on just a couple of things you want to do in your morning routine, and then keep building. If that goes well, make it a little bit bigger, that time frame a little bigger, and keep building on that. But keep your tasks in your morning routine simple. Like keep them minimal. Don't be having this long list of 15 things that you're trying to do in your morning routine because it's going to be hard to stick to it, especially when you're feeling like things are getting kind of overwhelming. Step number 3 is prioritize you before any tasks. Now, this one is important because so many of us don't naturally do this. When I was talking about unloading the dishwasher, that is a task. That's technically part of my morning routine. It has become part of my morning routine because it was working really well for my husband and I. However, if I focus on doing the dishwasher right away when I go downstairs, then I get into a mode of tasks. And then all of a sudden, I have spent, 30 minutes doing other things when I had intended to sit down and do a Bible study. And I just didn't do the Bible study. So now I feel like I don't have time to do that and I'm moving into something else. And so if I don't focus on what I need first, I'm going to end up doing tasks and feeling overwhelmed as my day progresses. So if you feel like you are feeling a little bit selfish to focus on you first, I want you to think a little bit differently and focus on if you are able to prioritize what you need right away in the morning before anybody else gets up. This is your quiet time. This is your time to focus on what you need to feel fulfilled and what you need to feel prepared for the day, then it's actually going to be better because you're going to be able to show up with the energy and be able to pour out into others so much better because you're going to feel like you were already taken care of, and you're not going to get to the end of the day and feel completely drained and like you didn't do anything that you wanted to do. And so many of us do this consistently all the time that we're showing up and we go straight into our day of tasks and then we're answering to everybody else around us. We get to the end of the day and it's like, oh, I really wanted to do that, but I just don't have the energy or the bandwidth to do anything else. And everything that is important to you just keeps getting pushed off and pushed off until eventually we're upset about it or we hold it in and we're holding a grudge against somebody. So, what we really want to do is focus on what is important to us, do it right away in the morning so that we can show up as our best selves throughout the day. You will be so much happier, and it will actually be a gift to those around you by having you take care of yourself first. It's kind of like that analogy of being on an airplane and the oxygen masks come down and they tell you to focus on putting your own mask on before anybody else, because if your mask isn't on, then you're not gonna be able to help anybody because 'cause you're gonna pass out. But if you put your mask on and focus on you first, then you'll be able to help others. And it's kind of the same thing, is we want to make sure that we are doing what we need for ourselves first so that we can actually be a benefit to others. So, that's a big one, is prioritize you before tasks. So when I'm looking at doing this in a morning routine, you can still have things like unloading the dishwasher in your morning routine, but make sure you're doing the stuff for you first. So this might be some quiet time with some coffee, it might be journaling, it might be prayer time, it might be movement or a walk. It could be anything you want it to be. It might just be reading, whatever is important to you to make you feel your best. That's what I want you to do before any tasks in your morning routine. Once we get into tasks, we can get really distracted. So just be careful about that. Number 4 is to review your evening habits. If you want a really good, solid morning routine, we need to make sure that we are prepared for our morning routine. So we need to look at what we're doing the night before. If you feel like your morning is getting lunches made or trying to do dirty dishes from the night before, we need to look at doing those things the evening prior because we want to start our day the freshest we possibly can. We want to start it in a good mood and on a good note. So if we're waking up and we're walking into a kitchen with dirty dishes and now we've got a pile of lunches that need to be packed that day or anything like that, we want to look at those things that are distracting from a good morning routine. So if we can start plugging those things in sometime in the evening the day before, we can wake up prepared for a good morning routine. So I want you to take a look at this. What is it that is distracting you in the mornings and is pulling your attention to them? And what could you do the night before to prevent that from happening? So some of those things might be if you're doing lunches, can you make the lunches in the evening after dinner cleanup? Everything is cleaned up, you can pack the lunches or during your dinner prep. Can you do that at the same time? Is there a different time? Maybe it's even after your morning routine. Maybe it's getting up a little bit earlier, doing your you time, even setting a timer for 10 minutes to have your own time, then go into making your lunches afterwards. If it's dishes, try to put those habits into place to go to bed without dirty dishes. If you need help with that, I recently released an episode about keeping up on dirty dishes. I can't remember exactly which number it is, but you can go back and look at the recent episodes and there's one to keep up on dishes and those will help you to start building in the habits to stay on top of these things. So it's going to help you have a better morning routine by focusing on how to remove the distractions that are preventing you from having a good morning routine in the first place. And so those are the 4 steps to really focus on. And I should put this in as a fifth, but just another thing to note is that I know for me, if I am not focusing on my morning routine or I'm starting to feel really overwhelmed throughout the day, I always need to take a look at my phone time. Whether it is scrolling, I'm not really on social media much anymore, but I have a big habit of getting into a certain podcast and then I just kind of binge it. I always have my earbuds in, and I think that I'm fine because I'm still actively doing something. And over time, I start to feel overwhelmed because there's just so much happening and I need some peace and quiet and I need to stop thinking about everything. I need to just silence everything for a little while. So I need to always do a check-in on what I'm using my phone for and how often I'm using it, and to really make sure that I'm getting that quiet time. Because if I remove those things from my life, or at least reduce them, I am so much better. So, because phones are so prevalent, it can be a habit that just gets picked back up without us even realizing it, and it just weasels its way back in. So, we really need to do this check in pretty often, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed, to just check in and see where you're at with your phone, what you've been using your phone for, and how much time you've been spending on it. And actually look at the time in the settings to see how much screen time you've had because it might be very different than what you think that you have been doing. So that is something to always take a look at if you're feeling overwhelmed. So, a quick recap for the 4 steps to refresh your morning routine, especially through the summer season. But you can do this at any point, anytime you want to feel prepared and are feeling overwhelmed. Check in with your morning routine because it can be a huge a factor and make a big difference. So, step one, review your current morning routine. Ask yourself what you like that is happening. Are you doing too much of something? What can be done at another time? You really just want to check in with what you're doing and make sure that you know what you want to keep and what can go. Step two is to focus on simplifying. You really want to keep your morning routine as simple as possible so that you can build the consistency and actually stick to it and feel prepared. Step number three, prioritize you before any tasks. This is focusing on any quiet time, movement, prayer, journaling. Maybe it's even looking at your schedule for the day so that you feel like you know exactly what needs to happen in the order it needs to happen. And this is what needs to be done in your morning routine. So maybe it's only taking 5 minutes to review your day over a cup of coffee. And that is what makes you feel really good. But you're skipping it because you're going straight into tasks. And step number four is to review your evening habits. Is there anything that can be done the night before that can prepare you for a better morning routine each morning? And if you want ideas of what to do in your morning routine, maybe you've never built a morning routine and you're like, I don't even know what my morning routine would look like. I do have a previous episode back in episode 96. I have 14 plus ideas to help you build your best morning routine. So that might be something to take a look at if you want some ideas. But I hope that this helps give you some guidance to refresh your own morning routine, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed. But once you have this routine in place, you're going to feel so much more prepared and so much more light and not stressed as you go into your summer. And you can have all the fun of summer, even though everything is a little bit off the rails because we're trying to enjoy summer, but having that standard morning routine that is preparing you for the rest of the day is going to help ground you and make you feel so much better. So I hope you take this and refresh your own morning routine, and I will catch you back here on the next episode. Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.